Well, look no further. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it is the absolute easiest way to start a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has the tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your smartphone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. It's everything you need to make your very own podcast all in one convenient place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Yes, I said it, Free, free. So what are you waiting for? Your voice needs to be heard. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Hey, and welcome to the Living Well with Karina podcast, the official place for learning how to live well in all aspects of your life after you reach 40-ish. We'll discuss health, fitness, mental wellness, financial wellness, and sexual wellness. I mean, we're all grown in here, right? I'll give you some of the tools, tips, and strategies that I've learned along the way to help you get to living your best, most healthy life inside and out. I'm your host, Karina, and I will help you get ready to take charge of your health and wellness. Tune in, grab a pen and paper, and let's live well. Hey, what's up, family? And welcome to another episode of the Living Well with Karina podcast. What's good, y'all? I really hope everyone is doing well. You know, there is so much going on in the world right now, and honestly, it really can take a toll on a person, you know. And oftentimes when I find myself in times of distress, that leads me to eating things I shouldn't and giving into my food cravings. So in today's episodes, we are going to be discussing impulse eating and food cravings. But before we begin, you know how we do over here. I want to take 30 seconds of gratitude because the events of now really just make me realize just how much I have to be grateful for. So I am grateful for my freedom, the freedom to be able to say what I like, when I like, and not be censored. I am grateful for this platform, the ability to be able to speak to the masses from where I am, but still be able to reach people elsewhere. And I hope that my presence here on this platform gives light and hope to those that listen. I am grateful for shelter and not the worry of it being gone when I come back. I'm grateful for peace in my home and a relative peace when I leave my home. I'm grateful for family and the fact that I can be with my family right now. I can hug them. I can talk to them, speak to them face to face. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm grateful for my health. And I'm grateful for just inner reflection and the ability to find a space of rest when my mind needs it and when my body needs it. And so that may have been more than 30 seconds, but that's completely okay. Because when giving gratitude, I say take as much time as you need, because you can never be grateful enough for all that you have, even when you think you don't have anything to be grateful for. So today I'm going to start out and let me paint you a picture, right? So you and your family have just had an amazing dinner, right? And let's just say that it was a big juicy steak. If you eat red meat, otherwise it could have been something else. Baked potato with butter and sour cream. And a side of steamed broccoli. And let's not forget that delicious, warm, and seemingly never-ending buttery bread that you were given while you waited for your meal. Is anybody hungry yet? Because I know I am. Starving. Okay, making my own mouth water with that imagination. So now you're done eating. And you've had a wonderful time, wonderful conversation, but you're stuffed. And when I say stuffed, I'm talking about the type of stuff where I need to lean back, unbutton my belt and the top button of my jeans so I can breathe type of full and stuffed. I'm talking that I wish I would have wore some pants with an elastic waistband type of stuffed. We have all been there, okay? So then you get done with your company and with your family and friends, and you say your goodbyes. You get in your car and you drive home, and you're feeling great, like you are in an amazing mood. You and your partner are talking and laughing. The kids are talking and laughing, and it's just been a great night. So you get home. You get undressed and you start to go into your bedtime routine. You're washing your face, you're brushing your teeth, you're having small talk with your spouse, maybe watching a little TV, putting on your pajamas. And for some strange reason, all of a sudden you start having a craving for a nice big bowl of ice cream, right? So you decide, I'm going to go down to the kitchen, open the cabinet, and I'm going to get me a bowl out. Then I go get a spoon. And then I grab the ice cream scooper and I get myself a big heaping helping, of your favorite ice cream. Like mine is mint chocolate chip. I cannot get enough of it. It is just so delicious. And I am a creature of habit. So every time we go out, that's the kind I get. I don't know. What's yours? But anyway, you have that nice heaping bowl of ice cream. And you head back up to the bed with your heaping bowl of ice cream and your spoon. Now keep in mind, it's now probably around 11 o'clock at night. You have your bowl of ice cream and it tastes so good, and the night ends just perfectly, and you lay down and you get some sleep. It's the next day. You wake up in the morning and you have tons and tons of regret. Like, oh my God, I should not have eaten all that bread at dinner time. Or I should not have eaten that bowl of ice cream. And it was a big bowl of ice cream, because you're looking at the bowl sitting on your nightstand and you are like, man, I should not have eaten that large bowl of ice cream. Like that was just, I should not have done that. Right? Now, you are not alone. You are not alone in this, especially as you enter your 40s. So understand that that's not a character flaw. It's not anything against you individually or me individually, because I've done this before, or my husband or anybody else who've done this. It is simple biology, and it's called hormones. Yeah, hormones. So in our 40s, our hormones begin to hit us differently and begin to hit us harder, because some of the hormones that we had, the levels begin to decrease in percentages as we get older. Our metabolism, the ability to burn fat, starts to slow down. And that affects our energy levels and our food cravings and impulse eating. And so it's harder to control those food cravings, and impulse eating. Listen, yo, the struggle be so real for me. Okay. It just be so real for me. And sometimes I just don't care. I just decide that this is what I want to eat and I'm going to eat it, especially during times of stress. And we're going to get to that in just a second. So let me tell you guys a little story. I remember when I was younger, like in my 20s and 30s, I could eat whatever I felt like eating, whenever I felt like eating it. And I'm sure you're probably shaking your head. Yeah, because that was probably you as well, right? However, my kids are a lot like that. They're so fortunate. Like, it's like they eat something and it immediately just falls off. Like, and I told them that one day it's going to catch up with you. One day you're going to start getting grown folk weight. And that's what I call it. That's what I call my weight gain as I got a little older, grown woman weight. But I like mine. It's all good. It's all good. And I'm comfortable in my skin where my body is. Now, you have to start to understand the mental aspect, the mental mindset, the mental game that's there for food, right? So oftentimes when we reach for those sugary or salty foods, which, by the way, they're not all completely bad, and it's not completely bad, and it's not really a balanced diet if you have to cut that out completely and restrict yourself from having things that you love. Like, a balanced diet includes whole healthy foods and your favorite treats. It's just that things need to be in moderation. However, when you begin to reach for that big bowl of ice cream or that extra slice of cake, it's often useful to think back to what you were feeling at the time. What emotion is equated with that big bowl of ice cream or that extra piece of pie or piece of cake? So it could be something as simple as, when I feel good or when I'm happy and in a good space, I want to extend that good feeling. And so, because that bowl of ice cream reminds me of a time when things were good as a child, when I was happy, or when my grandparent would take me for ice cream, or we would get to treat ice cream on Saturdays and my family would sit down together in front of the TV. It creates that same feel good. So you equate that good feeling with that ice cream. So when you're having a good time and you're feeling good, you want to extend that. So then enter the ice cream. So in my case, my particular weakness is potato chips. And baby, when I tell you that potato chips will take me into a dark hole, so let me explain the reason behind it. It took me a long time to start to understand the feelings and emotions behind my potato chips addiction. And it took me a lot of time to do the work. And it comes from a space from me being bullied as a kid, right? Most of you that follow me on social media, you see that I'm a pretty petite woman. And I was even smaller then. So because I was so small and petite, I was bullied a lot by kids that were bigger than me. I didn't have siblings that were my age. I didn't have a bunch of cousins that were around me. So I was pretty solo in defending myself and taking care of myself. And so potato chips represented comfort. It's what I would go to when I was having anxiety, or I was stressed, or I was upset because I was being bullied. So I can remember I would go to the little corner stores and I would take my little 25 cents and I would buy myself a bag of chips. Now remember, the bags of chips back in the day used to be 25 cents. Yeah, I'm kind of dating myself, but whatever, I don't care. But I would take my little 25 cents and I would go to the store and I would buy those chips. Now, mind you, it has to be a specific brand of chips though, right? So it's not just any brand or any flavor. So it has to either be Utz, just plain chips, those things. Oh my God, they're so good. Or Lay's sour cream and onion. Those are my two weaknesses that, listen, you can easily find me at the bottom of the bag. But anyway, I would go buy those chips and I would eat those, and they would make me feel better in my moments of distress. They would bring down my levels of anxiety. I didn't feel any sadness. I didn't feel any fear. I didn't feel anger. I just felt better. And so it took me a very, very long time, as I said before, after I became an adult, for me to start to understand that when I feel stressed, sad, hurt, or upset by something, oftentimes it will trigger the same emotional response. And I'm feeling like I need some type of emotional support. So then I often will find myself deep in a bag of chips. And oftentimes I do not have the ability to stop eating until I have either eaten the entire bag or almost the entire bag. Because see, my brain does not know the difference between me as a 12-year-old and me as a now 45-year-old. It just knows that same feeling of anxiety, that same feel of stress, that same feeling of rejection, that same feeling of sadness. It feels exactly the same. So my brain has no idea where I am in time and space. It just knows that those same feelings are coming and we need to feel better. And so that same physiological response triggers me to go find myself a bag of chips. So, in order to help kick this impulse eating, I would like to share with you 3 tips that I've used to help me kind of kick it to the curb, kind of lessen it. Because I'm not even going to sit here and act like I don't eat potato chips anymore, because that will be a lie. I still eat my potato chips, and I still find myself running to my potato chips when I get stressed. It's just that I am now more mindful of that trigger, and I am more mindful and self-aware of what's happening. And so I will pause before I grab those chips. I'll pull out my journal. I'll write something down. I'll write down what I'm feeling, what caused it. And so now I'm more aware, which makes me more aware of how much of my potato chips that I'm eating. So instead of grabbing the entire bag, I will go downstairs and I will open the bag and I will put a select amount in a Ziploc bag, in a small Ziploc bag. And once I am done with that Ziploc bag, that is it. We're not going back for any more. If we're still feeling stress and anxiety, then we put in other practices. And these are some of the things that I am going to discuss with you. So number 1, avoid eating too much sugar or flour, because it makes your insulin levels spike and then that crash. So you know that 2 p.m., I think it's a 2 p.m. slump, 2 or 3 p.m. slump that you get when you're working in corporate America, and around 2 o'clock, you just hit this wall and you're like, man, I have got 3 more hours to go and I don't even know how I'm gonna make it. Your insulin levels typically spike with that morning cup of coffee. And yes, it'll carry you for a little while, but then that crash hits. And so I learned to be more mindful. Now, I've never really been a big sweets eater. Like, if I'm eating sweets, then something's really up. I don't really eat sweets. I never have really been a big sweets person, because for some reason, everything just tastes too sweet to me. And so I choose to not do a lot of sweets. So, because here's the thing, one of the things that happens when you are taking in a lot of sugar, flour, even salt, the more you eat, the more you want. So that's that impulse eating. I'm upset. Boom. I'm going to grab my go-to whatever, and I'm just going to eat until I feel better. That's that craving. So you're giving in and you're doing that impulse eating. But when you are over 40, you have to become more and more mindful of giving into those food cravings at that level, because that impulse eating can leave us vulnerable for more serious and chronic issues. So the key here is to become more mindful. I don't even know if it's so much about avoiding eating it. It's more becoming more mindful, as I described before. So that leads me to number 2. Listen to your body when it says I'm full. I don't need any more food. Because what happens is that the hormones don't function properly as it should when you eat too much food, too much sugar, too much flour, too much processed foods. And if you don't listen to your body when you're eating and you just keep eating, it'll throw your hormone that makes you feel full, which is called leptin. It'll throw it off, and it'll continue to add to that hunger hormone by falsely triggering it, saying, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. And then you'll find, have you ever been in a situation where you felt like all you did was just eat all day long and you just were constantly snacking on something? Yeah. That is because you didn't listen to your body, and either you were tired or even dehydrated. And that hunger hormone kept saying, I'm hungry, I'm not full, and you just kept eating. And that's what happens. So learn to listen to your body. Listen to the signs that your body will give you when it says, I'm full. Listen to, pay attention to whether or not, and ask yourself, hey, I feel hungry, but am I hungry? Did I get enough sleep? Or how much have I been drinking? How much water have I had today? Because if you're dehydrated, you also can be fooled into thinking that you are hungry. So the third way that I learned how to kind of get a better handle on my impulse eating and my food cravings was getting the proper amounts of sleep. Sleep influences 2 very important hormones that are linked to our appetites. Ghrelin, which makes you feel hungry, that's the hungry hormone. And poor sleep increases that hormone because that hormone doesn't get time to reset. Leptin makes you feel full, and poor sleep decreases that hormone. So you never feel full. You just always feel hungry. So you'll keep eating. So the hunger hormone is not, and the 4 hormones are not operating correctly when you are not getting enough sleep. They need to rest, recover, and reset. And that's the importance of sleep for all hormones, for our brain function, for our hearts, for our nerve function. In order for our bodies to do what it needs to do, we need to get enough sleep. You need to rest. Your brain needs to reset. Your body needs to reset. Ask yourself this. Have you ever noticed that the later you stay up, the more hungry you actually start to feel? I've noticed that. And what I would do is I would just turn over and go to sleep. I would get a sip of water, turn over and go to sleep, because I know realistically I'm not hungry, especially if I'm thinking back to the dinner that I just had. I'm not hungry. So I'll sip some water and I'll turn over and go to sleep, or either have a cup of green tea or chamomile tea if I'm struggling to get to sleep, and I'll go to sleep. Because I'm not hungry. It's just my hunger hormone has been active all day and it needs to reset. And finally, I suggest finding a mindfulness practice like yoga or meditation. I do both because yoga is very good for my body. It's good for my joints. And when I was a dancer before, the impact that dancing took on my body caused me to need something to offset it. That's one of the things that led me to yoga, and we'll discuss that in another episode. So yoga and meditation, it helps to keep your stress hormone, otherwise known as cortisol, in check, right? So when you have a lot of stress, those cortisol levels are extremely high. And it also adds to the hunger feeling because it's raising the blood sugar and insulin productivity. And it just keeps this cycle repeating over and over again. So relieving stress is key to balancing your hormones and helping you manage those food cravings and that impulse eating. So I find that when I am relaxed and I have more clarity, I don't have a brain fog. I'm better able to make better decisions. I'm better able to move through life's stressors more smoothly. I handle them much differently. I handle them from a clear, thoughtful way. And my responses are more thoughtful than they are reactionary. Right? So getting those stress levels down are key, because the less stress you feel, the less you're going to have food cravings, the less you're going to be more apt to giving in to impulse eating. Right? I am really hoping that you got something from this episode, because impulse eating and food cravings really do affect us so much differently in our 40s. And the hormonal changes we are experiencing cause us to be less able to fight off our cravings the way that we used to be able to. So, to help with that, I have a couple of resources that I just want to tell you about. I have a free checklist that you can grab that gives you some tips and strategies that you can start to implement to help you kind of curb some of those impulses and some of those food cravings. Now, the tips that I gave you here are just the ones that I use, but there are so many more, and you have to find what works for you. So that resource will give you some of the tips that I gave you, plus a few more, right? So I would encourage you to grab your copy. It's completely free. All you have to do is go to my Instagram and click that link in the bio, and you can grab that checklist so that you can start to get some tips and ideas on how to control your food cravings and your impulse eating, right? Also, I'm going to be hosting a restorative yoga class for hormonal balance. And I'm going to be holding that on March 19th at 10 a.m. And it's going to be a virtual class. It's completely free. This is in honor of Women's Health Month. And because I feel like it's important to make sure that I am giving back to those that really need it and really need to figure out, how can I get started on this journey? I'm not quite sure where to start, and they need a resource. And so that's why I'm making this resource completely free to you. I'm so excited. It's going to be held by Zoom. I'm going to lead you through a practice that will help you start balancing that stress hormone, bringing down those stress levels. And at the same time, we're going to be bringing down the insulin levels, which is going to reduce some of those cravings. I believe that this time in our lives can be the best time of our lives if we have the tools and the skills and the strategies to learn how to make sustainable lifestyle changes. Because, diets ain't working for us no more once we start hitting 40. That's no, absolutely not. We need to make sustainable lifestyle changes so that we can learn how to live differently, eat differently, think differently, and really, truly prioritize taking better care of our bodies. Again, I hope that this was helpful to you. And always, I thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast. I can't tell you enough how thankful I am for all of you, for all of your messages of support, for the DMs, the questions. I appreciate you all. If you would like to connect with me, please feel free to do so. You can find me on Instagram at Living Well with Karina. You can also find me on Facebook at Living Well with Karina, as well as joining my Midlife Mafia Facebook community. It's a private community where there are people just like you and me who are looking for tips and strategies on how to live well, just like we're all learning how to balance our lives in this midlife space. They want to feel good. I want to feel good. We want to feel better. Nobody wants to feel bad, right? That's it for this episode. Thank you again for listening. And until we meet again, live well.